Strong chances sticking around all day.
Looking ahead now, people living in High Point are expected to attend a city council meeting this evening to talk about the violence in that community.
A family of the shooting victim who died over the weekend is also speaking out this morning. Our Bethany Moore is live in High Point with more details on tonight's meeting. Bethany.
Good morning. With the recent violence in this city, it's really pushing people into action. Now, police officers are going to be at that city council meeting tonight to speak with other city leaders about trying to find a solution. And then family members of the victim that just recently died are going to hold a community meeting to push other people into action. Now, High Point police say that yesterday, Travaris Malachi died in the afternoon. He was one of 7 people shot during a vigil for another murder victim last month. Malachi's death marks the city's 14th homicide this year. His cousin is speaking out against the violence and asking others to join him in a community meeting. He says it's time for the community to come together to stop this.
I'm his cousin. It's kind of heartbreaking to know that the violence still continues to go on. It's heartbreaking to know that people who you grow up with or grew up with or people who even you look up to have to leave in such a tragic way.
Now, if you'd like to join that meeting, that's going to be next Sunday at 1 o'clock at the Living Waters Baptist Church in High Point. Reporting live, Bethany Moore, WXII 12 News.
Bethany, thank you. Happening now, police are investigating a deadly shooting in Winston-Salem. It happened around 6:30 last night at the Claremont Townhomes on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Officers say 53-year-old Gerard Glenn died at the scene. He had been shot at least once. This is the 16th homicide in Winston-Salem so far this year. And in Greensboro, officers are also investigating a deadly shooting. They say they went out to Rugby Street around 6 o'clock Saturday night. When they got there, they found evidence of a shooting, but no victim. About 45 minutes later, Guilford County deputies found someone who'd been shot on Ewing Drive. That's nearly 5 miles away. Stephen Smith was pronounced dead at the scene. He was from Burlington. Investigators say his car looks like one that was seen on Rugby Street around the time of the shooting. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers.
At 5:04, Kernersville police are looking for 2 men involved in an armed robbery. Officers say they robbed the Union Cross Adult Arcade on Union Cross Road early Sunday. Both men wore a ski mask and showed a gun before demanding cash. Investigators say they were last seen in a car similar to this one. They believe it may be a Mercury Marquis or Ford Crown Victoria. If you have any information this morning, you are encouraged to call Kernersville Police.
Looking ahead now, testimony continues in a murder trial out of Davidson County today. The defense started its argument on Friday. Thomas Martins and his daughter Molly Corbett are facing second-degree murder charges. Last week, Martins told the jury that he walked in on his son-in-law, Jason, choking his daughter Molly. He said that he hit Jason in the back of the head with a baseball bat several times in self-defense. During cross-examination, prosecutors brought up an alleged $600,000 insurance policy. They say Molly is the beneficiary. Testimony continues at 10:30 this morning.
The man charged in the death of a Madison barber will be in court today. Taj Parker is charged with voluntary manslaughter. Police say he stabbed Michael Webster to death back on Friday, July 28th. Authorities found Webster outside his barbershop on Mayo Street. They say 2 men came into the shop and argued with Webster. The argument escalated and Webster was stabbed in the upper torso. Parker is being held this morning on a $1 million bond. At 5:05 this morning, North Korea is threatening to retaliate against the U.S. after the United Nations approved tough sanctions over the weekend.
In the meantime, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is laying down new ground rules for Pyeongchang. Nicole Killian joins us live in Washington with the latest on these tensions. Nicole, good morning.
Yeah, Good morning to you, Brianna. And Devontae, North Korea blames the U.S. for those new UN sanctions, calling it a heinous plot to isolate and stifle them. According to state media, it vowed to launch thousands-fold revenge against the United States after the UN imposed sanctions for its recent intercontinental ballistic missile launches during a regional conference in the Philippines. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said the best signal that North Korea could send to the U.S. that it's ready for negotiations would be to stop the launches.
I think that would be the first and strongest signal they could send to us, is just stop these missile launches.
Well, yesterday, President Trump spoke with South Korea's president about Pyongyang's recent actions and praised the new sanctions. Live in Washington, Nicole Killian, WXII 12 News.
Nicole, thank you. This morning, Vice President Mike Pence is denying a report by the New York Times suggesting he's looking at a 2020 presidential bid. The report included advisors and donors who said the VP would only run if President Donald Trump didn't go after re-election. The vice president issued a statement saying the article was, quote, disgraceful and offensive. He says his efforts will be focused on advancing President Trump's agenda and seeing him re-elected in 2020.
Well, next on WXII 12 News, Ferguson, Missouri is marking 3 years after the police shooting death of Michael Brown. How the community is using that incident to move forward.
And where the investigation stands right now into a bombing at an Islamic center. What happened and how lawmakers are responding. It's 5:07. We'll be right back.